All right, this is grade 5, lesson 70. We're talking today about the idea of decimals and what do we do if we have to write something in a decimal form. So if I have 12.6 right here, we actually say that is 12 and 6 tenths. Because when we look at the number here, the 6 is in the 10th spot. Remember, we write everything before the decimal, 12. The decimal point means and then the 6 is in the 10th spot. Now, what if we need to write that so that we have 3 numbers after the decimal point? What do we do then? Well, our 12 is going to stay the same. Our 6 is going to stay the same, and we can actually just fill those spots in with zeros, because no matter how many zeros we add in, we're not changing the value of our number. If we wrote this in words, we would have 12 and this time what number do we have after that decimal point? We have the number 600, so we'd write it as 600. And then let's count the place value that we're at. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So I would put thousandths underneath there. And that would be the same. Now, to kind of figure out, well, how is that the same? Let's look at it in a mixed number. If I had 12 and 6 tenths, and then over here I had 12 and 600 thousandths. Well, to make it easier for us, let's take off those zeros. If I take off those zeros, what number do we have? We have the same number as we had over there. So 12 and 6 tenths is the same as 12 and 600 one-thousandths. Now, the second part of this lesson talks about what if we have numbers that we need to add together, like money that's in decimal points. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So if I bought something for $5.62 and I also bought something else that was 43 cents, and then let's say I bought another item that was going to be $1 even. Now, I want to know how much did I spend. When I add these together, remember you want to line up those decimal points. So here, when I write that 43 cents, I'm going to put a 0 here, and then that 43, and then I'm going to write my dollar, and of course then we just add them up. So we have 5, 10, carry our 1, put our decimal point in, 5, 6, 7. So it gets us $7.05. Now if you look on your book on page 445, you'll see that they ask to write each number in the lesson practice with 3 decimal places. And they give you the numbers 1.2 for A. They give you the number 4 8/100ths for B, and then they give you the 0 with 5, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros after it, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros after it. So now what we want to do is we want to write them with 3 decimal places. Okay, so 3 decimal places. That means that we are going to have this when we write it, 1, and there's 1, 2, 3 decimal places. Over here we'd have 4, 1, 2, 3 decimal places. And the last one, we would take some zeros off here. We'd have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So in all these situations, In this one, we have 2 more zeros added on. In this one, we had to add 1 more zero. In this one, we had to drop 2 zeros. But they all came up with the same amount as far as having 3 decimal places. That comes in handy too when we're trying to actually compare those greater than, less than, equal to. So when you're doing a greater than, less than, or equal to situation, you want to look and see, okay, what do I have? Think money for some of them. So do I have 40 cents or do I have 4 cents? Do I have $50 or do I have $500? And that can help you with that greater than, less than, or equal to. So let's just do one example like that, and then we will end our lesson for today. So let's say we have something like this. We have 0.5 is greater than, less than, or equal to, and we have this number over here. Well, when we look at this, let's add a little 0 to the end of this. So we can add a 0 here, and then over here I leave this the same. Well, my number after the decimal point here is 5. The number after the decimal point here is 0. 0 is less than 5, so this number has to be greater than that number over there. Okay? Also, just to review, you have, if you had cents and they wanted you to write it in dollars, remember if you had something like 36 cents minus, let's say 5 cents, if you were going to write that, you could do the subtraction like this, but then when you write it as a decimal, you want to write it as $0.31. So that's how we would write that. We don't use the cents and the dollar sign. We just use the decimal point and dollar sign, or the cent sign, but not both. And that's your lesson for lesson 70. And you can look at what your assignment is.